The message came late, almost casually. Your son won't fit in at Seaworld. Our kids planned this for months. Yours just doesn't belong. My sister Marla had a way of making things sound practical when they were really decisions already made. The message sat on my phone screen while the kitchen hummed with the quiet noise of evening, dishwasher running, the low creak of our old ceiling fan. I read it again. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel in the way strangers sometimes are. It was tidy, polite exclusion. Across the table, Ethan was sorting the coins he'd brought home from his paper route. He always did that after dinner. Stacks of quarters, nickels, and the occasional folded bill. He worked 3 mornings a week, up before the sun, pedaling his bike through quiet streets. He didn't do it because I told him to. He did it because he liked earning things slowly. Mom, he said without looking up, how much is a dolphin encounter again? I swallowed before answering. More than you've saved so far. He nodded like that was fine. Like time was on his side. I typed back to my sister. I get it. 3 words, no argument. She replied with a thumbs up. For the rest of the night, I tried to let the feeling pass. Families miscommunicate. Kids' plans get complicated. Maybe she really thought she was protecting everyone from awkwardness. But around midnight, I was still awake. I opened my laptop and searched SeaWorld tickets. General admission, add-ons, experiences. Then something appeared on the screen that made me pause. Ultimate VIP experience, private guide, behind the scenes access, reserved seating, animal interactions, no lines. The price sat there in clean, unblinking numbers, the 25,000. I almost laughed. It felt ridiculous even looking at it. I closed the tab, opened it again, read the description like someone examining a strange object. It wasn't revenge that made me hesitate. It was the thought of Ethan walking into a place where no one had already decided he didn't belong. I booked it before I could talk myself out of it. Ethan's route started at 50:15 every morning. The sky was always that pale gray that comes before the sun remembers to show up. I'd watch from the porch sometimes while he loaded his bag, his breath fogging in the cold air. He didn't know about the booking yet. Not until 2 weeks later. We're going to SeaWorld, I told him over breakfast. He froze mid-bite. Like the park. Wes, he stared at me for a long second. With Aunt Marla and them. No, I said gently, just a stun. The confusion passed quickly, replaced by the kind of excitement kids try to keep under control because they don't want to seem childish. He nodded once. Okay? Then he finished his cereal and went to school. The park smelled like salt water and sunscreen. A woman in a navy uniform met us at a side entrance before the gates even opened. Good morning, Miss Alvarez. Ethan. She said his name like she'd been expecting him all day. Ethan looked at me, startled. How did she? Your private guide. I said the morning moved differently after that. We didn't stand in lines. We didn't rush. Our guide walked us through staff gates and quiet corridors behind the exhibits where trainers prepared food buckets and spoke in low, practiced voices. Ethan asked careful questions about everything, how the trainers built trust with the animals, how long dolphins could stay underwater, how the medical checks worked. He listened like he was studying. At one point, we stood beside the main dolphin pool before it opened to the public. The water was perfectly still. A trainer handed Ethan a small fish, ready. The dolphin surfaced slowly, eyes bright, waiting. Ethan's face lit up in a way that made the early mornings, the coin stacks, the long bike rides feel suddenly visible to someone other than me. We were walking toward the Orca Stadium later when I heard a voice I knew. Wait, is that? I turned. Marla stood near the regular entrance line with her husband and the kids. The line curled around metal barriers already full of families. She looked from us to the guide walking beside us, to the badge around the guide's neck, to the path we were being escorted down. What are you doing over there? She asked. I stepped closer so we could talk without shouting across the barrier. We came today too. Her eyes flicked to Ethan, then back to me. How did you get in that way? Before I answered, the guide spoke politely. Mom, we need to bring them to their reserved seating. The words weren't loud, but they carried a kind of quiet finality. Marla blinked. "Oh," she said. For a moment, none of us moved. Her kids looked past us toward the stadium. "Mom, the line's starting to move." She nodded, distracted. "Well, enjoy the park," she said. "You too," I replied. Then we walked on. Tea. Our seats were close enough to feel the mist from the water. Ethan leaned forward the entire show, elbows on his knees, eyes wide but calm. Not the loud excitement you see on commercials, just pure attention. When the crowd cheered at the end, he clapped slowly, still watching the trainers guide the animals out of the pool. Later, while we ate lunch near the lagoon, he asked a question that surprised me. Did Aunt Marla think I couldn't come here? I took a moment before answering. I think she thought it would be complicated. He nodded, considering that. Then he shrugged. "I'm glad we came anyway." There was no anger in his voice, no triumph, just quiet satisfaction. We left the park as the sun was starting to drop toward the water. The parking lot buzzed with tired families and melting ice cream cones. Ethan carried the small souvenir dolphin he'd chosen carefully after checking 3 different gift shops. On the drive home, he fell asleep with tucked under his arm. The road stretched ahead, calm and empty. My phone buzzed once on the console, a message from Marla. "Looks like you guys had quite the day." I read it. Then I turned the screen off and kept driving.